Namaste, Jai Bharat. Bangladesh, if you look back in time, history, was after getting freedom from Pakistan, was steadily, though slowly, was becoming economically good, was progressing themselves. And all these years they were doing well. They could, it took time for them to remove the vestiges of Pakistani domination and were slowly emerging as a legitimate democratic nation. They may have petty internal problems, which is not unusual in any democracy. That's one problem with democracy. And with all the drawbacks of democracy, undoubtedly, democracy is still the best form of governance. There's no dispute on it. There can't be any dispute on it. So they were making progress in democracy shall be slow, but evolutionary and systematically. And Bangladesh was doing it. What bugged whom? You can imagine. Perhaps you can, if you open your eyes, you will see that some people were quite uncomfortable with the progress of Bangladesh. Not just Bangladesh, of nations in this region. That's Nepal, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Bangladesh, and many such nations. They were minding their business and comfortably going ahead. And then the people who had irritation from this, they keep interfering and creating disturbances. And they change regime using this, using that. They are the real worst pests of mankind, I shall say. And these people live in luxury, comforts, sit in their comfortable rooms and plan and program of destruction of the other. You call them by any name. You know who are the people involved in it, what kinds of the people. And of course, their chief target is Bharat, and so far by God's grace. They were not very successful in Bharat, but they will relentlessly, continuously try at it. This they have been doing. And some people have this disease, and this malady, a disease, may have no remedy, at least no remedy in the vicinity. So they have destroyed Bangladesh, brought one puppet there for nothing, for no real reason. Get some people to move, get them on the street, and put a puppet in the place of their legitimately elected government, and Sheikh Hasina to free. Of course, all credit goes to Bharat and our sources that she was not executed by them. She is still comfortably living within Bharat. She had lived, and the puppet made a mess of the nation and the people for all this 1.5 years time. Then they had the so-called paper elections. I said paper elections because the real opponent party, Awami League, was not allowed to participate in election, and then the present regime. At least, like in Pakistan, it's by, for the namesake, is elected government, and they continue more or less in the same path as instructed by these pests who would like others to be destroyed. And lot of problems with Bangladesh and Bharat from there. In the meantime, because of the lenience of Bharat, because of the relations with the people, Bengal was a part of Bharat always, and which was divided into Hindu and Muslim Bengal in 1905 itself. That also was at the instance of the Minto Morley reforms during the British colonialization of Bharat. They all belong to one category of living living at others' cost, like parasites. Whatever you may say, that how whatever big, slow, whatever they continue to their existence as parasites on others, and then sucking their vitality to enrich in their own vitality. This had been happening in the past and still continues in a different manner. Then this person comes, and again we thought that he would read sense into things, and then there are problems with him. Now the border dispute. In the meantime, all these years of, because of the lenience of Bharat, around 2 crores plus of Bangladeshis started living in Bharat unlawfully, not the legal immigrants, unlawfully, and they started creating problem. Basically, these people are lawless and indisciplined, and it's natural that Europe is facing this because of the karma of Europeans. The Europeans are facing the similar situation in a worse scale. They have problems. England, UK faces it. They are yet to face it in serious. US is yet to face it in its serious phases. They are only getting some taste of the infiltrators problem. Whatever they do to us, they will experience it for themselves on a much larger and intense scale. Now all these things going on, we had to deport. Deport means detect infiltrators and deport them. This program is going on. In the meantime, what we were never so serious about is the connecting small corridor of 22 kilometers between Bharat and Bangladesh, which is the Siliguri corridor. And the Siliguri corridor, in my younger days when we used to travel through that area, it was a comfortable zone, and it's a small corridor, and the border with Bangladesh was never so serious. Several times I have seen people from Bangladesh, in the evening they'll come to the markets in Bharat, sell their things and go back. And for as laborers, many used to come from Bangladesh, work in Bharat and go back. At the same time, many used to come from Bangladesh to Bharat, housemaids like people, and stay here. And their relatives comes and goes. And it was a very gradual evolutionary process that through that this 2 crores plus people happened to stay in Bharat from Bangladesh illegally. Then these politicians within, when we talk about the 0.5 anti-nationals, they're within Bharat. That's why we call it as 0.5. Because of the help, these people have got papers, not really citizenship, papers, which could at once be found that are fake. Now the Siliguri corridor becomes, they thought, Bangladeshis and also their friends, China, Pakistan, etc., others. They thought the Siliguri corridor is very sensitive and they can cut it off easily, so that the northeastern part of Bharat will be removed from Bharat. They thought, and there are people like evangelists, they want to make a Christian area there. Such people are also there, and they are also not slow, or they are not also not less. They have their intense activities on it. Now, with the division, then now of course with all these things shaping up, Bharat seriously started looking at the borders. When we saw the borders, we were trying to make borders with Bangladesh, which were completely loose. In the sense, they could walk into here to our market, sell their things and go back. And nobody used to go from here to there to sell. They used to come. So the border was so loose. Both the border security force, they didn't have their forces there. We had only our forces on this side, border security forces. They were also quite lenient, thinking that people, human beings, after all, poor, farmers, peasants, etc. They were considered more than what consideration ought to have been. Now we started making the border, and especially started making fencing at the border. Initially, 8 of the Bangladesh villages, so-called Bangladeshi claimed villages, we see initially we thought 8 villages are in Bharat actually, but then now it turns out to be 12. That's in the Bengal border. So 12 villages are in Bharat really, and now we are going to make fencing. And if you talk to people, if you find out the people living in those villages, they are extremely happy that they are with Bharat. At least they can live comfortably. Hindus or Muslims, that is secondary. They are Hindus. And similarly, we have checked the Siliguri corridor width. Till now, Bangladesh was claiming it is 20. People simply started believing it's 22 kilometers. But when we checked the border with the records, it's not 22 kilometers. It's actually 43 kilometers width. And how it has become 23 kilometers conventionally? Because Bangladesh started infiltrating and staying there, made villages, made settlements. That's how, all of these years. So, on scrutiny, when we became strict, the width of chicken neck, which they call that Siliguri corridor, had suddenly become 43 kilometers from 22 kilometers, and that's more than sufficient. In the meantime, we also intensified our activities there so that nobody can just think of cutting it off. They thought this is weaker because of their misdeeds and misbehavior. The real width has become 43 kilometers. So those people living in Bangladesh border are actually belonging to Bharat. How it will all turn out, all the people living there, how it will happen, what will happen to them has to be settled. But the land is now unquestionably one by the Bharat, and we will claim it without any hesitation. Problems. It's all because of the people who keep getting bugged and destroying into others. Otherwise everything was normal. People were coexisting. This is what is called as asking for trouble, inviting trouble, and becoming gluttons for punishment. We shall meet. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Sri Ram.